Ladies and gentlemen, Seahawks fans of all ages, welcome back to the 12 Talk podcast. My name's Josh, and this is my podcasting partner in crime, Mitch. We're going to be talking to you today all about the Seahawks win 30 points to 18 against the Arizona Cardinals in the desert. That completes the sweep for the season, and we couldn't be happier. We've got a fantastic guest, member of our Discord. You may know him from X, TrueDrewSports. So Drew will be joining us very shortly. We've got our 12 talking points. We're going to be covering a lot of stuff here. We're going to be going through our Discord member musings, and we've got your questions live as well. Before we start, Mitch, had a big week this week. How are you feeling?
I had a massive week this week. I've had such a good week. It's almost like we planned for you to throw this to me and me just do a quick segment of patting myself on the back, but I'm going to talk about it. I don't care. I had a wicked week. We had our staff Christmas party last week, where I was voted runner-up employee of the year and got a juicy bonus with it. On the very same day, I also got a promotion. So I've had an unreal week. Of which I'm extremely grateful for my peers voting for me in that, and celebrated by getting on the sauce with my work colleagues on Friday. So a great week. What about yourself?
What did I do last week? Dad stuff. Pretty plain and simple. I had a weekend. I coached my rugby club on Saturday, and it was like a 45 points to 5 win. So I'm now 3 from 4 from coaching those boys for the season. Stupendously proud. And then I had my mother-in-law's 60th birthday on Saturday. Today I have been looking after a child who had a temperature, UK-wise, it was like 38.7 degrees or something, which was very hot. And, yesterday had the good fortune of watching our Seahawks absolutely decimate the Cardinals. So if you're joining us very early, thank you so much. Just want to say, please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you do not miss any future episodes. Also, please share. All of your shares really, really help us out with this channel, and we're growing. The big thing that's growing, Mr. Mitch, is the Discord.
Yeah.
Mitch, the master of the Discord. The game day there has been absolutely amazing. And our guest today is a heavy Discord user with us. He's massively involved. He's always in there with some fantastic insight, great conversation as well. I know you guys get to see his face. So members of the Discord, you can now put a face to the name and the comments. And anyone else who follows on X, you'll now see who he is. Before we start, I just want to give a very, very big shout out to the UK Seahawkers. We are the official podcast of the UK Seahawkers, and we're very proud card carrying members ourselves. If you'd like to join the UK Seahawkers, it is £12 for the year. And it's £20 for a family membership of up to 4 in the same household. You get access to our social events. The next one is going to be in Glasgow. We're still looking for a venue. So if you are local and you know anywhere good in Glasgow, hit us up and let us know. You also get some fantastic goodies to go along with it, as well as 10% off the club shop, chances to win, multiple giveaways as well. These are the goodies this year. You get your wristband, your patch, your RFD card as it was this year, and your membership card as well. And Seahawk of the Month is back. So if you're a chapter member, check your inboxes. Your local chapter president will have sent you an inbox asking for a nomination for your Seahawker of the Month. If there's anyone you think that deserves it, by all means, let them know, and let's give it to a good cause. But Mitch, less about us, less about other things. Shall we get into this and bring Drew on?
Let's go.
Let's do this. And there we are. We are back in the game, and we are joined by our good friend Drew, aka at TrueDrewSports. Here he is, ladies and gents, members of the Discord that are watching, of which I know there's a lot because I've just seen all the comments. Mitch, I hope you're looking at all these. Drew, thank you so much for coming on. I know we were supposed to have you on earlier on in the season. We've had to juggle things around. So what better time to come on than a 33-18 pasting of our divisional rivals?
4 games. 4 games in a row. Let's go.
Dude, that is a streak. But for anyone who's tuning in that doesn't know you from our Discord or anything, tell us about yourselves. Let the world know.
So I graduated with a degree in mathematics, so I love statistics, love math.
Oh no, you and Mitch nerds.
And if you follow me over on Twitter, you notice a lot of my stuff is just analytics that I kind of either find from somebody else or I do a deep dive in every once in a while to kind of see how our Seahawks are doing and see if I can find anything that nobody else has found. And I just find it fun. I love math, love numbers. Yeah, I'm a nerd.
This is I saw when you said math, like I saw Mitch's eyes light up a little bit because Mitch is our spreadsheet stat nerd. So as you know from being a regular sort of listener and watcher and member of the Discord, so I am well and truly looking forward to you two having a stat off at some point. I hope you both come prepared. I'm pretty sure you can. It's spreadsheet Olympics. Why not?
Why is that not a thing? Actually, why is that? I'm sure it must be.
It must be competitive spreadsheeting. There's gotta be. But let's get into this. So obviously, everyone, if you are interested in what Drew does, you can find him on X at TrueDrewSports or get yourselves in a Discord. Mitch will be posting that link in the comments as well, so you can click it, you can join. We've had some fantastic new members as well. Thank you very much. One day I will get a list and thank everyone. But let's have a look at what happened. So as I said, the Seahawks came away from the desert, from that cursed field, State Farm, with, to my knowledge, no injuries and a big fat W, a 30-18 dub. And let's give a quick overview of what happened. So for those of you watching, you can see that in the first quarter, Arizona came away with the first points, which was a TD thrown by Kyler Murray to Wilson. It was then all Seahawks. We had a field goal from Myers. We had the JSN touchdown, and then we had Charbonnet's first touchdown as well. Second quarter was Arizona field goal from Ryland. A name that we won't hear very often now, further off for the rest of this, apart from the doink. And then you had another Charbonnet TD, which was the 51-yard run, which was just amazing. Yeah, and then quarter three, as we've seen throughout a lot of the season, the offense starts to stutter a little bit. It's like it's one side of a coin. So it's either start really slow, finish really strong, start really strong, finish really slow. And we got the finish really slow side. Q3, 3 points from the boot of Jason Myers, and then a touchdown from Connors for Arizona. And Q4 was the field goal again from Myers. Nothing for the Cardinals, leaving that 30-18. Now, before we go on to our 12 talking points, I always like to revel in a win. I like to breathe it in deep. And as Drew rightly pointed out, we are on a win streak of 4 games after there was quite a few podcasters, fans out there thinking our season was over. We've pulled it all together. And how are we feeling? Before we start going through our 12 talking points, Drew, we always start with our guests. So any question that's posed, you will be the first man to answer. How are you feeling as a Seahawks fan right now?
Honestly, very optimistic with how this defense is turned around. So losing those 5 out of 6 games, that put some dark times in every Seahawks fan's minds, honestly. Everybody was kind of starting to look towards the off season, look towards what's going to change. Are there any offensive line hitting the free agent market? But no, with this defense, how it's come about, I'm actually really looking forward to these next two games. It's going to be a good test. But if anything, I'm more worried about the offense in these next two games than the defense. And that was not something we were talking about in that 6-game span.
Yeah. Mitch, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling a lot better. I know 4 wins. If you get 4 wins and you're not feeling better, something's wrong with you as a fan of your football team. But I think the key thing we wanted to see this season was the start of some identity and some good leadership, coaches, settling in and having an impact. Well, Grubb showed a real uptick in creativity, and he managed to establish a run game. And I'm going to touch on Huff later, but I thought it was Huff's offensive line's best game of the season as well. So I'm feeling better just because it feels like things are bedding in a bit, and we're getting a certain level of consistency, which again I'll come to later. But just everything feels like it's settled down a bit, and we're finding some levels where we can compete consistently.
So nice, isn't it? So nice from a British point of view as well, to wake up after possibly a 1 o'clock bedtime, 1 a.m. bedtime, to wake up the next day and actually smile rather than have to walk around with that look on your face, as my wife does when she wakes up. She looks at me and goes, "Seahawks lost, didn't they?" I'm like, how can you tell? I've just woken up. I must wake up with an instant frown, but not at the moment. So before we get into our 12 talking points, as anyone knows, we are the very proud supporter of the Robbing Cancer Trust. We like to give them exposure wherever we can, and currently they are mainly UK based, but by using this platform, we're going to help spread the word throughout the US and the world, sort of throughout the NFL community. So a quick word from the RCT, then we're going to our 12 talking points. Stay tuned.
I want to take a minute just to introduce you our charity partner for the pod, the Robbing Cancer Trust. The Robbing Cancer Trust is the UK's germ cell cancer community. For those who don't know what germ cell cancer is, that is testicular and ovarian cancer, and the RCT was set up following the family tragedy, which sadly saw them lose their son and brother to germ cell cancer. Germ cell cancer is something that can affect anyone at any time, and the RCT, Robbing Cancer Trust, do a fantastic job creating awareness through the various campaigns like Talking Bollocks and Not Overreacting. If you or a member of your family have been affected or think you may be affected by it, please visit their website, therobbingcancertrust.org, to see how you can spot the signs, how you can manage it, and become part of the community. And if you'd like to help fundraise or give anything to them, by all means, that would be absolutely fantastic.
There you go. The RCT, proud supporters. But I wear my Robbing Cancer Trust t-shirt pretty regularly. So, shall we go to our 12 talking points? This is for those of you that are new to the pod. Every episode, Mitch, myself, and our guest have 4 talking points that we are going to bring together into 12, addressing different parts of the game. And as is customary on our pod, because we're English gents, the guest goes first. So, Drew, your talking points, sir. Let's kick it off. Number 1, a crisp glass of Charbonnet.
Yeah, I mean, Charbonnet had to be your player of the game. This game has been aging for a year and a half for this crisp glass of Charbonnet. You're looking at 22 carries, almost 140 yards, another 7 catches for 60 yards. He put a combined yardage of 200 yards on the field and 2 touchdowns. He's easily the player of the game. The key difference in this is obviously run game. I look at Charbonnet and you look at Kenneth Walker, and you can see Charbonnet has the confidence of trying to hit the hole. Even if the hole's not there that the line is trying to open, he tries to hit it. And I feel like, and you'll see this probably all over Twitter for the next week until Walker plays behind the offensive line next week. But I feel like Walker, and I think you touched on this, Josh, last week, he's kind of been shying away from trying to hit those holes. He doesn't trust the offensive line. He even if the hole is there, he ends up bouncing it out or trying to make up yards when the yards would have been there to begin with. He doesn't trust the offensive line, and you saw Charbonnet come in here, do what he was supposed to do, hit those holes, and sometimes they weren't there, but then 51-yard touchdown. There's like a 28-yarder off the left side with DK leading the way as a lead blocker. Like it's there, it's just not there all the time. But in his 3 starts this year, Charbonnet has averaged, I think it was 115 yards a game, just rushing. No, sorry. No, 89 yards a game. I forgot about the New England game. The New England game, he only had 38. So you have 139 rushing yards this week, 38 against Patriots, and 91 against the Dolphins. Those 3 games were games without Kenneth Walker. Those are very solid numbers.
They are from an RB2 as well,
yeah.
in inverted commas. There was, so on a game day, I do a lot of our socials, and looking through X, Blue Sky, etc. There was a lot of defense of K9, and it's always going to happen when your understudy has such a good game. But I put something out there to say K9 isn't a problem. He's an elite running back, but does he suit what Grubb looks for in this offense? And as like I said, I pointed out, he's more than happy to try and bounce it out. Our good friend here, Ben, UK 12 man, K9's been bouncing it out since college. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Mitch, you covered your face there. It's used to it now.
It's all right. It was you last week, so it's my turn.
Yeah, it's fine. So I mean, he doesn't seem to take what's given to him. He's trying to create more, and that's what makes him an exceptional talent, because he can make something out of nothing by bouncing it outside, making these really slick cuts and making people miss. But Charbonnet he will just hit the hole they're supposed to hit. He will bounce off players and he will take it to the house for 51 yards. And I'm starting to question if that is the type of running back Grubb wants, as opposed to what Ken Walker gives. And I don't want to see K9 go anywhere else, but I look at who's more effective in this run scheme, and it's really starting to make my brain hurt, if I'm being very honest.
Yeah. I think what Charbonnet did this weekend has really made it a little easier for Ken Walker, because Charbonnet is basically doing what is called. It doesn't matter to Charbonnet whether he gets 3 yards or 20. He's just going to run the gap. He's going to hit the gap he's told to hit on that play, and K9 has been given artistic license to ad-lib, to hit the crease that he sees, to neglect the designed run play and use his talent and his skill to just do something ad hoc and win us a game. Well, the problem is, if you're getting hit in the backfield, you then start to look indecisive. Whereas if you'd have gone for the designed gap, you'd have at least got a couple, and I mentioned it last week. I think my category about Charbonnet was Charbonnet clarity, I think. And I talked about the fact that he's got that kind of clear mindset of, I'm going to do what I'm told to do, and hit the gap. I'm going to hit it. He doesn't have to, he hasn't got that in his mind that he needs to try and make something work. He's doing what's drawn up. Yesterday, we got a better performance out of the O-line, and more often than not, what was drawn up allowed him to use his skill set to rip off big chunks, and he did it repeatedly. So I think now Ken Walker coming back in, it's been kind of drawn out for him. He can just do what Charbonnet's doing, hit the gaps that are drawn up for him. If he's unable to weave his usual magic, he's now got an example set by Charbonnet to go to, I think.
Yeah, I just want to go on, Drew. Whilst you're doing that, I'm going to bring up some comments as well. So carry on, sir.
I think yesterday, what Charbonnet really reminded me of is Chris Carson. I think, who was it? Somebody posted a tweet yesterday. Charbonnet had the most yards after contact and out of everyone in the NFL,
anyone in the league,
all season long, the most yards after contact yesterday, even over Saquon Barkley's 300-yard game.
And how many games has he played as well?
He started 3.
Yeah, consistent snaps. It is crazy. And this is we'll get to some of the comments that are coming in at the moment, but this is something that I wanted to say. I was thinking about this all last night. So there was all the K9 defenders. There was the people that are really starting to eat some humble pie about Charbonnet. And it's neither of them are bad running backs. Neither of them they both work in this system, but it all depends on your preference at running back. Do you want someone who can improvise and make something magic happen out of nothing, a la K9, where he'll bounce it outside to the gap that shouldn't have been there and then still go for 20, 30 yards? Or do you want that running back that is going to fit your scheme, will hit the gap he's told to hit and make something happen with the design play call, which is Charbonnet? And I think what we're seeing at the moment with the O-line play, and this is something that Amy has just come in with as well, good play calling making a big difference too. There you go. Completely agree, but I think it's also Charbonnet is following the good play calling and going, that's my gap, that's where my protection is supposed to be, I'm going to hit it, and if I make a yard, awesome. If I manage to wiggle free or bounce off people, I could make 20, 30, 40, which I think is what this scheme's designed to do. We had a good question, which we'll be looking at later, from Bryce from the Hawks on Rundown in our Discord member musings. I don't want to besmirch K9 because he's a fantastic talent, but I also really like what Charbonnet did yesterday. A couple of your comments as we're talking about K9. So Gary, I think K9 and Sharps can still be a great 1-2 punch for the Hawks once the O-line starts getting consistency, which I think we're seeing now. Richard, would have been interesting to see what K9 would have done if he had them gaps yesterday. Yeah, that would have been I don't want to wish away what we had, if I'm being completely honest. And with that, I want to move away from Charbonnet because otherwise we'll just go into total free fall in running backs. Drew, hit us. The 12 showed out.
So the Seahawks posted out there coming into this game, they're 9-1-1 playing the Cardinals in State Farm Stadium, and it looked like a home game there. It was almost 50% blue and green in that stadium. And I wanted to point out, and I'm not sure if everybody else kind of saw this, towards the end of the game in the fourth quarter, the Cardinals moved to silent count. They could not snap the ball without using the silent count. And, I mean, now you're 10-1-1 in the State Farm Stadium. Let's just call it a second home.
Second home with some sort of curse.
The Super Bowl doesn't count. But we're 10-1-1.
Yeah. I'd be willing to call it Lumen 2.0, but then we already know that Lumen 2.0 is in New York. And I wouldn't mind calling it Arizona, provided we got an exorcist in there first to get rid of whatever curse is on there, injuring all of our players all the time.
Hopefully we put that curse to bed. We came out with no injuries. The only thing that the curse could have done is possibly maybe this is why the Rams beat the Bills, to kind of shove us out of the division. I mean,
it seems like a curse by proxy. It's like, well, we can't injure anyone on the field, so we'll do something heinous away from this game to really screw over the Seahawks instead. There's someone looking down on us going, no, Seattle. Your next one. Can I just say, the pun game from you two in these 12 talking points is strong today, and I feel like I've let the side down with mine. So let's be earnest for a moment. Go, Drew.
So Ernest Jones, I mean, what's not to talk about Ernest Jones since he's been here? The defense is completely turned around. I do want to kind of point out that, like, the Falcons game, the defense was a little bit better, and that's when Kobe Bryant actually took over for Rayshon Jenkins. But back to Ernest Jones, I mean, he's leading the team in tackles. He's commanding that defense. You see him walking up to the defensive linemen, pushing them out of the way, moving them into different gaps so they're in correct alignments. And I mean, I think he's the backbone of this defense. And the linebacker position is the quarterback for the Mike McDonald defense. And it shows with that Ernest Jones trade. We've seen incompetent play at the linebacker position and what it's done. And I'd like to contribute those 5 losses towards the beginning of the season and the run defense to Baker and to Dodson just not knowing their correct assignments. And I think Ernest Jones has kind of put this team on his back. Him, Leo, Witherspoon. I think it's a lot. He's done so much, and we all know. And I tweeted out about this yesterday. So we all know I think it was week 8 when Mike McDonald was the defensive coordinator for the Ravens that he traded for Roquan Smith. Week 8, we traded for Ernest Jones. The defense turns around at both times. What if I tell you it can get a little bit weirder? And this is what I was kind of referring about. Roquan Smith and Ernest Jones, following their trade, both had interceptions on week 14.
History repeating.
This is how you know you do a deep dive into stats, my friend Mitch. Yeah, I'm gonna have to sort of, like, what was it, demote you? No, relegate you. There you go, from the stat man.
Oh.
It's gonna have to be Drew. I'm sorry, mate. You best up the game.
A week off.
I'll take over from here. It's okay.
I agree. Like the addition, it really is addition through subtraction. So you get rid of Baker, get rid of Dalton, and there were so many people that were scratching their heads, that were losing their head on socials about why it was done. And EJ has come in and he has just transformed this defense. Considering he wasn't there for the initial install of the defense, he's come in, he's learnt it, he has improved it with the communication, with the positioning of players, and just the general command of it. That is a completely different defense. This is where Mike Mack must be going home every night thinking to himself, this is what I wanted. This is what I needed. And you have to think that's EJ alongside a rookie in Tyrese Knight, who is only getting NFL snaps, midway through the season. He's getting meaningful snaps. So by this time next season, he will be year 1. He will have had many more meaningful snaps, hopefully playoff snaps with more experience under his belt. It's exciting. And Amy did put something in the chat, which I am all about. Just waiting for his re-signing to make sure he keeps 13, but he's my next jersey. Couldn't agree more. I think he's fast becoming a Seahawks fan favorite.
Definitely.
You say that there's a very large jersey being made for me with a 99 on the back right now. Williams 99 is going to be my new, and it's going to be a white. It's going to be the white shirt with the. I might if they'd have printed if they'd have gone with the white throwback, a white throwback 99 Williams would have been my jam. Yeah, for sure. But it might have to be the standard one. But that Ernest Jones 13 would be a real nice idea, because I do think he becomes the cornerstone of this team going forward, defensively at least. So for sure.
It is really weird seeing a linebacker wear 13, but
literally about to say the same thing. It's since they sort of eased up on the rules of what position groupings can wear what numbers. I found it so difficult to keep track of who's playing where with what numbers. But I really like it, because I don't think it should be. You're in this position. You've got number 50 to number whatever, or these are specific numbers. I think this just allows a bit more freedom, and the guys can have their numbers from college, even though this isn't Jones's preferred number, is it? 53 is his number, but he's not taking that from Marfe. Let's get to your last point, Drew. Starting out fast.
Well, if you listen to press conferences, it's mentioned just about every week that they're trying to start out fast. They're trying to start out fast when most of the times the Seahawks aren't even scoring, let alone 3 points in the first quarter. But against Cardinals, they scored 17. Against the Dolphins, they scored 17. Against the Patriots, they scored 7. So whenever the Seahawks, and I looked at this earlier today, whenever the Seahawks score a touchdown, the Seahawks offense scores a touchdown, they're 3-0 in the first quarter. I say the offense because the Giants game, we had the fumble recovery for a touchdown, so I'm putting an asterisk on that. But yeah, when the offense starts out fast, they are 3-0, and I think that's got to be a key going forward. I do think they could have got a touchdown on that 4th and 2 on the first drive, but last week kind of gave Mike a little bit of a scare, so he's just gonna no, we're just gonna take the 3 points. Let's just get it on the board and go. But I think with the short yardage situations and how well we kind of did with this week, I think there will be a little bit more confidence in those situations going forward.
I agree. Right, Mr. Mitchell, you are up.
I'm coming in hot with the podcast's hottest, best pun in our 12 talking point segment.
Are you going to do these to the tune, or do I have to read them out with the music?
No, I mean you do what you like, Josh. You always,
go on. You do. They're yours, mate. You just tell me when to go.
Okay, now just fire them all. Oh, whatever. We'll do this one. So I'll start with the boring one. So consistent levels. I think we're starting to find a certain level of performance from players on this roster now, and it probably comes from familiarity with the playbook and the coaching staff. And there's a lot of new players that are obviously on the same page with their teammates, and they know more of the playbook. The terminology that's probably coming from some of these coaches, I think that's all instilled. But you look through this defense, whether it's players like Kobe, who's been remarkably consistent and a real contributor since he's come in, or whether it's Knight, whether it's the O-line suddenly starting to look fit for purpose. I won't go as far as good, but they're certainly looking more fit for purpose. The defensive line's got that level of consistency there. Gino's play steady. Players like Charbonnet, contributing consistently. And I think also I mentioned it in the Discord. We're now at a stage where our number 1 pick from 2 years ago and our number 2 pick in Charbonnet and JSN now look like a first round attacking weapon and a round 2 offensive weapon. That the two of them are looking like they justify where they were picked. So there's a level that's finally sort of stabilized, and it's giving us a basis where we can compete in any game.
I agree. Do you think that's down to coaching as well?
Yeah,
I think so.
I will argue till the cows come home with any Seahawks fan who, in the first year of a coaching team being together, saying, get rid of them, they're not good enough, because it takes longer than that to bed in. We've said it multiple times. I, as a sports coach, will say it all the time. You cannot judge someone on a season's worth of performance. And I think everyone was judging Mike Mack's defense on that first half of the season before the bye. And now it's coming good. Grubb has had some inconsistent plays and inconsistent games, but when it's good, it's really good. When it's bad, in inverted commas, I wouldn't necessarily say it's all down to his play calling. Sometimes it's good coverage. Sometimes Gino has a brain fart. Sometimes we just don't get the right protection. And I just think the coaching is really up there. And I know you're going to address one of the coaches later, so I'll leave that. But Drew, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm among the same thing. Everybody's being consistent. If this defense can stay the way it's doing and Gino stops turning the ball over like he did this week, I mean, we can go really far. I mean, he managed the game perfectly. We did not need him to do hero ball every once in a while. He did every once in a while in a couple third and longs, but like it wasn't required constantly. And now that you have your starting right tackle in instead of your third and fourth string right tackle, I mean, everything's looking up.
It is. I've got a good thing on the O-line later. Can I introduce this next one, Mitch? Yeah. Ready? Get my voice ready. Living on the edge is.
I love that you wanted to do it as much as you did. It's great. Yeah, living on the edges. What I really, really like about our D line at the moment and the outside linebacker corps that we've got is that a player that coming into this season that we thought was an absolute lock on the edge, that was Uchenna Nwosu, was bad. And I get that he's probably not fully fit and up to speed and whatnot, but I really don't see how he claims a starting lion's share of snaps up against Boye Mafe and Hall now. And I know you might look at the stats from last night's game and think, well, hang on, those two didn't get. I don't think either of them had a sack, right? The two starting edges, but how many holds and flags and how many pressures and how many times did they contain Kyler Murray in the pocket? Yeah, how many times? They were so consistent in what they did. It was an outstanding performance that wasn't punctuated by sacks and whatnot. But you can roll Leo Williams into that as well, because them lining him up at 5-eye or where they're putting Leo Williams just isn't confined anymore. Because of the talent we've got across that line, and it starts with the edges for me. They've been unbelievable. Hall has just been an animal this year.
I won't go into too much, but I completely agree. I'll let you
allow me to introduce myself. Is my next point, and I loved writing this one. Satawa Lamea, right? We knew that they were keeping him back, and we knew that they really believed in the talent that was there. There was a lot said about Grubb and Huff really, really liking Satawa Lamea and how aggressive he was, and that there was a rumor that they wanted. I think was it Washington wanted to pick up Lamea and turn him into a D lineman as well, rather than an O lineman. And if you appeal to a team as a D lineman when you're an O lineman, there's obviously a level of aggression and competitiveness, and what had really stood out to them, I think, was just the competitor that he was. These two games that we've seen him play now for Seattle as a starting O lineman, watching him get up to the second level and really get in there and blow up plays. Those are the kind of things that we see from the NFL's premier offensive linemen. You look back over the last 5 years and talk about O-linemen that really, really leave an impact, the household names. They're the ones that can get up to the next level, that are confident enough in their ability and whatnot. Lemaya, after 2 games, is already just an absolute wrecking ball. He's popping up in places that you wouldn't expect a rookie O-lineman to feel confident sort of getting to. So the ceiling on Lemaya now, for me, just seems sky high.
Yeah,
Drew, what are your thoughts on Lemaya?
I heard the same thing as you. I know I've heard that Lemaya was like a Huff and Grubb pick. And whenever I kind of saw Tyrese Knight going, Lemaya, it's like recently kind of like popped up in my head. I think day 1 and 2 pretty much belonged to Schneider. And I think day 3 is when he kind of got the coaches involved. And I think that's why you see we took Tyrese Knight early. We didn't. I don't know about AJ Barner, but I mean he was from Michigan, so was McDonald. You have Lemaya, which we've heard since was a Grubb and Huff pick. So it doesn't shock me that he ended up starting over Haynes. I think Schneider kind of just took what he had saw as best offensive lineman available, and that's where Haynes is at the moment. I think he can still develop and be a starter, but I think Lemaya has run away with this right guard position. And as you said, how he's kind of just dominant. Well, that is completely complimentary of Abe Lucas. Abe Lucas has that same aggression. So when you get both of them swinging, it's going to be a great play. Like just follow the wall. Those guys are going to knock somebody over.
Yeah, I'm gonna. It's not a 12 Talk pod without a comment from Gary. So, Gary, I love his nasty side. We need that on the O line. Been missing it for far too long. I'll talk about the O line later, but there was something that came up through the ref's mic where it picked it up, and it was after Lemaya had, I think he had just driven his D lineman back into the turf, and he was just chirping at him like, I put your ass into the ground. When you look at the right side of that O line, Lucas is a nasty tackle. Lemaya is a nasty guard. You've got Oliver Timmy, who is now that settling, in my opinion, level-headed, intelligent, settling center, but still has a bit of a nasty side to him. Left side we'll get onto in a bit. But the right side of that line for me is looking so dangerous. I just like seeing nasty linemen, people who like to drive their D linemen back and take great pride in doing that. So I will just say the pun game for the last 2. Congratulations. Also, I think Lemaya needs to be spoken about so much more. Let's go to your last one. Huff game ball.
Yeah. So if you'd have said to me, name the Seahawks coach who is most likely to lose his job in the offseason at the beginning of this game, whilst that would have been a really negative question to ask me, I definitely would have answered it with Huff if I had to give a name. And reason being, if there was one positional group that we needed to see some stellar coaching from this season, it was the O-line. And if there was one positional group where we would probably say we have seen little to no improvement and possibly regression, it's probably the O-line. So Huff getting a game ball in recognition of the way the O-line had stepped up and played and improved. In fact, over the last few games, honestly, it's not like it was a one-game thing. And also the run game getting going behind that is an unbelievable relief to Huff, I'm sure, because that was the hottest seat in the coaching room. So it was a massive moment for Huff, and he looked absolutely made up to have been recognised with that game ball. So really loved that.
I just want to say thanks to everyone for tuning in and for flooding this chat and these comments. Levi, thank you for joining in. Hail to the chat. It's amazing now that we have so many of you joining in and really talking to each other that you kind of just ignore us and just feed off what we say.
Chat amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves. It's fine. But I'll get on to mine. So I want to start with, imagine if our offense could operate for two halves. I'm just got a quick observation here. The amount of games where we've started slow and come back in the second half, or we've started fast and dropped off as soon as halftime comes, and it's not the same consistent level. Mike talks about complementary football, and it doesn't seem to have that balance of consistency yet. I'd be happy if our offense just scored 10 points a quarter, kept it rolling, 7 points a quarter, and then the defense just held other teams to 3 points, to make the occasional touchdown. I'll let them off because they're only human. But we just seem to have these huge swings in one quarter or a half, and then it goes silent for the next half or quarter. And that's not to say that we are not having fantastic time possession. So yesterday's time possession, in total, we had 33 minutes and 2 seconds to Arizona's. Hang on, I've not got my glasses on. 26:58. There we go. I have to read it a little bit closer and squint my eyes. And we had that fantastic, was it an 8-minute drive, which just eked out the clock. Amazing. But I want to see more of it. I'm getting thirsty for a bit more Grubb offense that works. Spoon and Big Cat are the embodiment of this defense. I know we talked about Ernest Jones, but I think Spoon and Big Cat have become the leaders of this defense. Big Cat seems to be involved in every good thing that happens on the D-line, and Spoon seems to be involved in every good thing that happens beyond that, whether that is blocking for a pick six, whether that is making open field tackles, although one of them yesterday he did whiff on a little bit, but managed to slow down Connor. So I'll take it. Or he's just gassing everyone else up. These two players are exactly what Mike Mack wants. With the addition of Ernest Jones, as Drew said earlier, I think these three players, and special mentions Julian Love, this defense has now got such a great spine about it, a good backbone of players in different positions that have the passion, the attitude, the drive to be able to carry this defense forward for some time. I know. Drew, I think your bottom lip there says it all. Thanks for everything, Tyler Lockett. Yesterday, Tyler had one ball thrown at him. He had one opportunity and he dropped it, which was so unlike Tyler. His usage has diminished since the bye week. Even before the bye week, it started to diminish. Mitch and I said before the season, we can see the volume from Lockett to JSN take that swing at the bye week, where JSN becomes the true wide receiver 2, although he's now looking like the true wide receiver 1, weirdly. And Tyler Lockett just seems to be a bit of an afterthought. It's really sad, I'll be very honest. But I think the time has come where he, and agreed, Amy, 9 out of 10 times he catches that. But I just think it's got to that time now. We have to face facts that Lockett may not be here next year. It's looking more and more likely with the lack of usage, where they're just trying to phase him out of the game. So they're not as reliant on him to make these clutch passes, these clutch catches. But I needed to say something because I think it's becoming increasingly more evident, and it hurts my heart a little bit because it's very, very rare you see a one club man in the NFL, and he is the epitome of that. Came out of K-State, joined the Seahawks, special teams ace, became wide receiver 2 to wide receiver 1, and then dropped down a bit, and now he's just become a bit of a forgotten man. But I just wanted to give Tyler Lockett a special shout on the 12 Talk podcast for everything he's done, and we sincerely hope we get a deep playoff run for him.
Yeah,
the last Tyler. One. Yeah, go on, please. Anyone wax lyrical about Tyler Lockett?
Yeah, this feels more and more like his swan song. I feel like JSN's kind of ripped that security blanket title from Tyler. He's become that security blanket for Geno, and that used to be, even through the first few weeks of this year, that used to be Tyler. And even when DK was out, Tyler really wasn't getting that many looks. Love Tyler, love everything he's done. He's been one of my favorite Seahawks of all time. And I hope they put him up in the Ring of Honor. But yeah, it's feeling more and more like that. Like it's time. Like AJ Barner is getting more targets than Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett doesn't.
Sorry, Drew. Can I just before you say that man's name, you have to sort of put a preface of Mitch's man, AJ Barner.
Mitch's man, AJ Barner. Mitch's man, AJ Barner has honestly, I feel like he's even been more reliable than Noah Fant at this point. Like I'm ready to move on from Noah Fant this offseason. I think Lockett will retire this offseason. Between those two, you're already saving almost $30 million against the cap. But yeah, it kind of feels inevitable at this point.
Yeah,
I know you did say that JSN's looking more like the wide receiver one. To me, they are 1A and 1B. Gino's mentioned this in a bunch of his press conferences, is that the defenses have been showing zone. Just they're not even coming out of zone. I was watching a little bit of Hawk Blogger last week, and he had the numbers on it. The last 3 weeks, not including this past week, the last 3 weeks, the defenses have been showing an average of 82% zone against the Seahawks. Well, who's going to be your zone beater? Jackson. Who's the man beater? Literally,
yeah,
DK. But that really kind of takes DK out of the game, and that's why you've kind of seen him fall off a little bit lately. And I knew this wasn't going to be the game for DK to turn around, just because how heavy usage the Cardinals run in zone. And also, I was looking at this. Did you know DK's never surpassed 60 receiving yards in his career against the Cardinals?
But however, he's got a 90-yard chase down.
Yeah,
Buda Baker. So
that is true.
So he's got more defensive yards and a chase down on the tackle than he has actually receiving yards. Wow.
Yeah.
Mitch, because we are currently being flooded with messages of respect for Tyler Lockett, would you like to say your piece before I just throw some of these comments out, and then I'll get to my last one?
I love Tyler. I really hope he retires a Seahawk, but I also kind of hope it's this year. I feel like with the baby on the way, and I feel like the timing for everything is just right for it. Hopefully we get a little playoff run this year, something of note that he can sign off with and pass the torch over. But I will say this, being objective about it, when Charbonnet is as effective as he was yesterday receiving the ball and being checked down to, when AJ Barner's treating defensive backs like speed bumps and picking up, first downs, you really can see why spreading the ball around these targets is preferred to giving regular targets to a wide receiver 3. And let's also factor in the lesser spotted Jake Bobo not getting many targets either. It's not like Lockett's the only one who's suffering as a result of the wide range of targets we have to throw to right now. So I think that it's not so much about any kind of Lockett regression. I think it's just that wide receiver 1A and 1B are sharing targets, and then the rest of the weapons we have are being targeted in situations that kind of require them. Whereas Tyler Lockett's a slightly dwindling light in comparison to some of those targets.
Yeah. Just before I get on to my last one, I'm just going to read some of these out. So, Levi, Tyler needs to make one more great catch and retire.
Agree.
Fingers crossed for all of that. There's so many. There you go. Gary Lockett has been a great servant to this organization. Bryce Bryce Coots from the Hawks on Rundown. Love Tyler Lockett and always will. Rich, he's got a successful real estate business off field, which may make a decision easier. It's the real estate business for the Seahawks, so he's still going to be involved. Amy, retire a Seahawk, please. There you go. Lockett is a Seahawks legend from Rich, and Ring of Honor for sure from Amy.
Yep.
I can't go through there's so many. But thank you so much, everyone, for contributing there. He's an absolute legend, but I just need to bring it to everyone's attention for people that are still living in denial. And my last one, I came prepared with stats. That's right. Yeah, you two aren't the only ones that can do it. Allow me to put on my nerd glasses. I have notes too. So our O-line. It's an O-line for the future. Currently, so the starting O-line yesterday, Cross, Tomlinson, Oluwatimi, Lamea, and Abe Lucas. Cross is 24. Tomlinson is kind of the outlier here at 32. Oluwatimi is 25. Lamea is 23. Lucas is 26. Based on that, the average age is 26 years old. If, for example, we take out Tomlinson and we put in, let's say, Haynes as a left guard. I know he's only played right guard his whole career in college, but just utilize what we've got. He's 24, which brings our average age down to 24 years old for an offensive line in the NFL. And out of that, if Haynes is in there, that's 2 rookie guards starting. That's Oluwatimi, who's only been in the league for 2 years, Cross, who's 3 years, and Lucas, who's been for 3 years as well. And yesterday, there were 0 sacks of 30 dropbacks. And let's not forget the 176 rushing yards that were allowed with them. If that is not, I'm just going to, that's my mic drop moment. There you go. They're all my stats for the pod. I exhausted myself with that. But if that isn't an O-line to be excited for going forward, I don't know what it is. I think the biggest question mark there is, what do we do with Haynes? Because Tomlinson is that vet presence. He's been in the league for 10 years, but as we've seen all season, he's not been the greatest guard, but he gives that steadying sort of hand, being sort of the dad to that group. But if you put Haynes in there and you look at the contract lengths, we've got Cross, who's got a 5th-year option coming up, which should be picked up. Then Lucas, who should get extended as well, providing his knees hold up. Then the interior of that line is going to be here for a few years anyway. That excites me, looking at how Huff has started to really coach them up and start to get the best out of them. If that trajectory carries on, that's an O-line that, no pun intended, I can get behind. You know? I don't know how anyone else feels about this, but when I was going through all that, I got a little bit excited looking at the average ages, because it means that we can keep them together for the best part of 10 years, hopefully. Go on, Drew.
If we get a checkbook out and start paying guards.
That's what I was just about to say. I was like, that is if Schneider actually ends up paying them, because we've had one person get a re-sign deal from the offensive line, and John Schneider's entire time here. So, I mean, I'm sure you'll see soon. Cross doesn't have to get one till after next offseason, right? Doesn't have to be this offseason. Next offseason.
So he's got another season, then he gets his. You get the.
So we'll
round
see.
one extension.
But yeah, I loved what we saw from this offensive line this game. Gino looked like he was sitting comfortable back there. He had he's pressured 5 times on those 30 dropbacks, and then hit twice. So he's standing up the whole time. He just put on 10 pounds of lean muscle, and he's just like, I didn't really need to do that. So
it's just all vanity muscle. That's all it is. He's now looking at himself in the mirror going, I am a great looking quarterback. That's it. I don't even need all this muscle mass. But yeah, the time he had in the pocket yesterday was, and don't get me wrong, Arizona's pass rush isn't elite, but for him to have that much time in the pocket behind that young O-line that's what really got me thinking about my talking point here, because I thought it needs to be addressed.
He had a lot of time behind the line in the Jets game though as well. And that was when LeMay first started, right? There was a lot more pressure and whatnot in the Jets game, but let that be Satow's like first game. But there was times that he was just sitting there and just nobody was getting open. He'd sit there for 4 or 5 seconds and just nobody was open.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's turning the right way. It's definitely making strides. And yeah, we gotta figure something out at left guard, but it's looking good.
The thing with the Jets game, with Gino having time but nobody being open, was the fact that because we didn't establish the run in that game, they dropped so many into coverage that the four-man rush attack actually did end up getting enough time to get home, because they were essentially coverage sacks when they did come. So this game was a little bit different because we established the run and it crowded the box and allowed everything to kind of work. And JSN gets so much more free when the run game's flowing. So I feel like lots of factors are starting to get established now, and things are looking more advanced than they were, based on the fact that things are kind of locking into place around Gino. Give anyone a passable O-line, a working run game, and a defense that can get off the field, and watch a team win games. That seems obvious to me. But
how many games can we win, and how far can we get? Which is a question from our Discord member musings. But before we get to our Discord member musings, a quick word from our sponsor, Wraith Energy. We'll be back in less than a minute, and then any of our members of the Discord that are joining us, there's a high chance your questions are going to be answered and discussed here. So bear with us.
Let's give a big shout out to our sponsor, Wraith Energy. Wraith is a sugar-free energy drink that comes in these handy-dandy little sachets that you've not got to take in a huge can away with you. Simply mix it with half a litre of water, give it a good shake, and you are ready to go. It is sugar-free. It has all the benefits of pretty much every energy drink you'll have, apart from the fact it doesn't cost you a fortune. And they're very, very honest with what they have in there. You have taurine, caffeine, multiple vitamins, no sugar. And for any of you who try sugar-free energy drinks, usually you'll know they're not the best. Wraith, however, I have tried the majority of the flavors now, and I love every single one. If you want to try Wraith, go to wraithEnergy.com. And when you're going to check out, use code 12TALK for 10% off. You'll thank us later. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
There we go.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. So there you go. Wraith Energy. Thank you very much for sponsoring this. 25% of any money that comes to the pod through our sponsorship will be going to the Robbing Cancer Trust by the end of the season. We're looking to really bolster that and try and give as much as possible to them. That is not the only way you can donate, though. If you do wish to donate, by all means, go straight to them. But right now, for anyone who is in the chat, of which I know most of the Discord probably are, it is time for our Discord member musings. I've done enough musical stuff this time, Mitch. I'm not going to sing the theme tune for it unless people really need it. So, Discord member musings. Let's start with our first one. So, first up, from Ben, UK 12 man. I have 2 questions. Super Bowl?
That's such a Ben way to ask a question in our Discord as well. Love it.
Go on.
Love it.
This is very tongue-in-cheek.
How does one answer that question, by the way? I mean, where do you start? I think I'll start with bowl.
Do you know, we've said it before. I'm not going to change my tune. As much as I am loving life right now as a Seahawks fan, it would be a step too far too soon. If we were consistently playing at a high level where our offense was causing issues, our defense was still taking the ball away, and we were putting points on the board every quarter, I think that we could start talking about it. I just don't think that it's this. I just don't think it's this season. And Ben's just come in the chat saying, I was on a high. We'd literally just won when I posted that. I'm sorry, don't post that stuff, Ben. I'm going to put it up there.
No, and when we win our next 4 games in a row, then what do we feel?
True.
There you go. I think at that point, I think it'll just be Ben shouting into the voice channels on our Discord, just "Oh my God, Super Bowl!" But yeah, I'll stick with my same answer from the all season. It'd be a step too far too soon. Gents, what do you think, Drew?
I mean, I don't know about step too far. Like I just want to see where we end up. Like everything's looking good. What I really wanted out of this season was to see the defense turn around, and now everything else is icing on the cake. I did not expect us to make playoffs. I honestly, just like everyone else here, probably expected the 49ers to win the division. But here we are, first in the division. We have everything in front of us. Like we hold it in our destiny. If we want to make the playoffs, we can. So if we make playoffs, icing on the cake, and one game at a time, you can make it. You can make a run.
I think a playoff run isn't out of the question. Mitch, sorry, as I was just slating you in the comments there for Ben's comment of I'll post what I want when I want, and I said don't do that, Mitch will ban you.
I do have a past record. Yeah. I would make this one point, right? I do think it's a bit far-fetched to get to the Super Bowl. However, if we get to a Super Bowl, all roads lead through Detroit. And I think if you beat the Lions on the way to a Super Bowl, there's not an awful lot left to be scared of. It might be a Chiefs, it might be a Baltimore Ravens, it might be a Bills that you meet in that Super Bowl final, but I don't fear them much more than I fear the Lions. So if we get to a Super Bowl through Detroit, I think we got it all to play for. And also we're on an upward trajectory. When we get to 17 games played, if we carry on as we're going with an improving defense, with a very good D line, some of the best defensive backs in the league, we got as much of a chance as anyone.
You heard it here first.
I ain't scared.
Mitch says we're winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, clip that.
Yes. I know what I'm spending my day tomorrow doing. Right, next one from Bryce. Did you guys find Seattle running more power duo gap scheme versus the Cardinals over zone scheme, as well as some of the run game issues? Also, because K9 is not a downhill runner like Sharps and K-Mac. I think we addressed both of these points earlier. And I think there was
more gap scheme.
Yeah, there's definitely more gap scheme. I started watching the Mike McDonald show and he addressed the exact same thing. So the fact that Bryce put this in to our Discord before it was even discussed on the Mike McDonald show says the man knows what he's on about. But yes, I do. And I think we discussed it earlier with the K9 and Charbonnet thing. I just think it's down to the scheme we're using and how effective Charbonnet is within that scheme. Just hitting the holes that are given to him and not trying to bounce outside and make something else happen. So there we go. That's a nice quick answer. Gary, of course, I've got to get one in from Gary every single time. I thought Ryan Grubb really turned things around in this game. Will be interesting to see how the offense performs over the last few games. If the offense plays to this level or improves, do you think him and Huff will be let go after the season ends? As a lot of people have been wanting the pair gone. Well, we address this as well. Go, Drew.
I don't think you're going to see them gone. I think at the very least, I mean, they are first-time coordinators in the NFL, or first-time offensive line coach in the NFL. They didn't have their players that are used to coming over from a number one offensive line in college football. You see Charbonnet start to shine, one of Grubb's and Huff's guys. I think once they start getting their guys, they're going to start chugging along. And I think it would be a mistake moving on from him after year one. Even before this game, I thought the same thing. You have to give them a chance at next year. I mean, we gave Waldron 3 years till we finally cut bait, but like Huff and Grubb has been good. I mean, they've been all right. They've had their ups and downs, but with this offensive line, how it's performing, everybody would.
I'd just like to congratulate you there, Drew. You've just given us another. So Mitch has already given us Gruff, and we've just had Hub. So how many more amalgamations of the name can we have?
They are, but that is further proof that they are one.
Yeah, they
the
are
two
one.
of them. Their names are basically together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're going anywhere. Like Bryce has just put in the chat, their interview, his interview with Greg Bell says that there's no chance they're going anywhere unless things completely fall apart. We as a franchise have shown that we don't just jettison coaching staff or players, apart from this season. I'll refer back to D. Eskridge though, for a bad season or a developmental season. We will keep them going in the hope that they'll be able to put it together. And I think that Gruff Hub have proved that it's starting to come together. So, like Drew said, when they get their players in, that I think it'll just start accelerating.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
great
I'll make
question there, Gary.
I'll make one quick point there. It seems to have been a mentality of. Oh, sorry, mate, I've ruined it.
You've ruined my presentation now, Mitch. That's it.
I've seen a mentality of try and bring people in on good money as a starter, and if they're not justifying their money, strip it back, get rid, and give game time to a rookie or a project. It seems to me they're not going to suffer underperformance from players that they're paying at the expense of game time for someone they've invested a draft pick in, for example. And that is something I absolutely love, because if we're just going to get mediocrity anyway, get it from mediocrity with upside, not mediocrity with a large cap hit. We've done that so much. And if you relate that to a coaching standpoint, Huff is all upside. You know, he's a young coach with a proven track record of coaching really talented O-linemen and getting the best out of them in really creative schemes. That's everything that we want for this team. So it would make no sense for us to bin off a guy with so much upside if things aren't going well. It goes completely against what we've done.
I'll just fantastic comment in the chat from Bryce. D. Eskridge equals he who shall not be named. D. Eskridge, aka Voldemort. So the next one we've got has come in from Jonas. I'm not sure if Jonas has joined us yet. I know he was recording the German Seahawkers pod, Ballhawks, at pretty much the same time. So I don't know if they've overrun. Sorry, I need to turn the chat off. They're making me laugh when I'm live. I'm trying to be professional. So Jonas, are we all way too negative? Questioning Gino, questioning Myers, questioning McDonald, questioning special teams, questioning Gruff Hub. Don't we all have to take 2 steps back, see if there can be any offensive turnaround, just as there have been on defense, wait out how the season ends, and then question if certain positions on the players' side and or on the coaching staff have to be addressed? Yes. Everyone needs to take a step back, and you need to have a more holistic bird's eye view rather than this just blinkered insular. We lost a game. This side of the ball looked terrible. Sack everyone. Trade them. We don't need any of these people. Oh, Jonas is here. Hi, Jonas. Yeah, I completely agree. We've said it multiple times on this pod, and I will carry on banging this drum till the skin dies. You don't get rid of a coaching team straight away. Players, as we proved, a couple of games, if they're not working, maybe get rid, or in the case of D. Williams, half a season of ineffective special teams play, and then eventually waive him. But yeah, I think it's we're all being way too negative. People need to appreciate I'm going to sound really old. I'm going to get my soapbox and stand on it. In this day and age of technology, everyone expects everything instantly. And Gary mentioned this when he was on the pod. Everyone expects an instant result, instant gratification. And that is not the way it works in a professional environment, whether that is work or in professional sports. You need to give things time to develop and mature. If you think that bringing a coach in or one player that's going to turn around your franchise instantly, you are wrong. It's such a rarity for that to happen. Tom Brady in Tampa happened because it's Tom Brady, and that was the missing piece there. Anyone else? Roquan Smith at Baltimore maybe turned that defense around, but they've still not won a Super Bowl with him. So it takes time. Have patience. And I shall stand back off my soapbox now and sit down. Old man Edward.
Boomers taking over the pod.
I'm a millennial, mate. But yeah, here endeth the lesson. Right, let's get on to the next ones. Sorry. Jonas again, considering Olu as well as Laumea are on rookie deals, Cross having the 5th-year option and being able to extend Lucas in the offseason, are the Seahawks one big free agent signing at left guard away from having a good O-line? I'm pretty sure Bryce just put something in the chat about this as well.
Yeah, he did. Top
15 O-line or top 15 left guard needs to be brought in to solidify the O-line. But yeah, Jonas.
Need that veteran presence. Yeah.
Sorry, Drew, what was that?
I said you still need that veteran presence in there. Like, you could try to move Haynes over there to left guard, but like, I think you still need that veteran in there, somebody that's proven. And we'll figure out what to do with Haynes after that. Hopefully he puts on some muscle this offseason. Maybe he can take that left guard spot. But yeah, I think addressing the left guard spot in free agency might be where we have to go with this.
There you go. And next from Amy. Very active in the comments here. Thank you very much. Designed Pete's Beach House as well. True story. It's not just a canny username. Are you nervous about the Rams, or do you think we'll stack up well against them again? Can someone else take this first, please? Drew, you're the guest. I'll throw you to the Lions first, mate.
Yes, I'm nervous. I mean, you can't put Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Kyren Williams on an offense, and with Sean McVay, I mean, you can't not be nervous about that offense. Our defense, I think, can hold up, especially. I mean, we did very well holding Kyren Williams. And if you can make their offense one-dimensional, I think you have a chance. But as you saw, Kyren Williams still did whatever he kind of wanted to do yesterday, and that opened up the rest of the offense. So if you can stop Kyren, I think you can stop the Rams. But our offense also is going to have to step up. That's the key right now. The defense, I'm confident. The offense, I'm not.
Yeah, I completely echo what you said. It shouldn't be, but it is. But we thought the Rams weren't going to be good last season, and look what happened. I think Stafford still has it in him to ball out. I think Puka Nacua is fantastic. Their defense as well they show signs, but I genuinely think that if our offense, like you said, clicks and plays for its full potential, Grubb gets in his bag, I think our defense can do enough to disrupt Stafford in this run game that we have a very good chance of winning. But with that being said, I am not going to place a wager on the Seahawks winning that game. I've learned from my mistakes. Mitch, however, heard wager and the head tilt came in.
That's my universal hint that let me say something. I'm just looking at the Rams fixtures for the rest of the season, and I think they win out.
Yeah,
they've got the Niners. I think they win.
They've got the Niners on Thursday, so it could be a little different. It could be different.
Yeah, true. They've got the Niners, the Cards, the Jets, and then they've got us on the last game of the year, or last game of the regular season. I genuinely think there's a good chance they win out. We can win that game though, but I don't know that our run up to that game would be 3 wins. We've got the Packers, the Bears. Who else have we got?
Vikings.
There's another big game.
Chiefs.
Vikings is
Vikings.
a tough one. Yeah. So I think their run of games is better than ours. And I think we end up having to win that game. So there's a lot of pressure. Isn't it fun to already be looking at the end of the season and thinking that things matter? We're not on a hope and a prayer for a wild card at this point. We're actually plotting a good insertion into the playoffs with a good a good seed, and that's lovely, man. Like this is a first year with this coaching staff, and we're at this stage of the season and we're relevant.
It's nice, isn't it?
So good. Yeah.
However, it's going to come down to this final run-in for us and the Cards, of which both of us have got some decent run-ins to the end of the season.
Yep.
Rich Blake, bookmakers gave the Seahawks a 7.5 win total this season before any game was played. That's already been beaten with 4 games left. Realistically, how far do you think we can go this season? I'm lobbing this up to anyone before I answer it.
I'll start off on this. I do think that I think we beat the Packers. The Vikings are going to be difficult. I think their defense has some similarities to the Mike McDonald defense. How they like to hide their pressures. Their pressure package is a lot different than what you typically see. So I think the Vikings might be a loss even though it's at home. I think we beat the Packers, and then it will come down to that final game against the Rams. So that puts us at 11 wins. And I think coming into this season, I had us at 10-7, just because I felt that Pete did hold us back a little bit when it came to the defense, and I figured you get the new coach. I know there'll be growing pains, but I knew they would probably make a run towards the end of the season. So if I was allowed to bet in my state, I would have taken the over, but I'm not allowed to do that. So
it's a really weird premise. We have bookies on every street corner here, and every single app is available to us. But over there, you guys, if you're in a certain state, you can't. Which it must pain you when you see so many of these betting adverts for DraftKings and whatnot all over the NFL.
So I'm allowed to do like the fantasy DraftKings stuff, but I'm not allowed to do like actual betting on lines and whatnot.
I don't do it anyway. I've lost too much money. Mitch, however, is the godfather of that for us. So are we what are we thinking we're going to end on? We've got one more Discord member musing after this before we sign off. So what's our final tally going to be?
I think 11 wins.
Yeah,
I think it could be 11 wins. It's 10 or 11 for me. But you mentioned there, Drew, that the teams are playing. I think we beat the Bears and I think we beat the Packers. That gets us to 10. And then the Rams game for me is a real coin flip. So it's 10 or 11 for me, depending on the result of the Rams game.
Isn't that's what we predicted pre-season, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. It's close to. I'm not sure what we said about each game. I don't know. Did we go through the games?
We did.
Predict? Oh damn! That
we did. I know I was already wrong because I said that the Cardinals will beat us at home.
Oh, I think I said Cardinals. We'd beat both times.
I'm pretty sure you did the sweep.
But I will have made a lot of gaffes along the way with other games. So I definitely didn't have us losing to the Giants. That's definitely the one no one predicted. So
not proud of predicting that one. Right, let's go to the last one. Jonas again. McDonald taking accountability for screwing up Arizona's first scoring drive with his play calling after the game is awesome because he's not blaming his players. Do you think that after 14 weeks of football, Mike Mack has locked into being a head coach? As someone who is a coach, he will start feeling it now. He will be well in his bag with partially being able to juggle the responsibilities and knowing what to do. It will take him more time to actually become a fully fledged head coach in the NFL, but he's definitely got the right support network in there with Leslie Frazier, the coaches he's got. He's a very clear and effective communicator. I think he's definitely, I'd say probably 80 to 90% there, but still there's always going to be a little bit behind the scenes that he may not be fully there with yet. I don't know if anyone else agrees with me there.
Yeah, no,
This is the admin. I'll just say it's the admin. If you're going to become a head coach of any sport, the admin is the worst bit. You can be a fantastic coach, but then you've got all the stacks of paperwork and everything you've got to do as well. Are we, Drew? What do you think?
Yeah, I think Mike McDonald's been locked in for a little while now. I think like he's not fully developed. I think he's finally getting everything in gear, and I think that started after the bye week. But I think in one of his press conferences, he had it might have been the Mike McDonald show. He had kind of been asked that kind of question, and he was like, "Well, what the difference was is I've kind of consolidated the playbook." It's that I think what he's doing is that he's scheming a game plan for each and every game with his playbook. And when he goes into practice, they use that game plan. I think what happened before the bye is that he was trying to have everyone know the entire playbook, and then he was making calls from there. But now he's consolidated that down so they have less to study for. They know what to expect, and when they know what call is coming, they know how to execute it properly. And I think they nailed that down all week long. And that also at the same time keeps it different for opposing offensive coordinators to figure out what we're doing.
Yeah, except from a coaching standpoint, I think he's pretty much there. I just think there's going to be something in the background that if you ask him, especially with the birth of his new son, congratulations. Just glad we've not said that yet, but fair play. I don't envy you juggling a head coaching job in the NFL with a newborn child. Your wife is going to be an absolute rock star for many people. But yeah, there's going to be something in the background. But I think play calling wise, I think the way he manages this team and the way the players have gravitated towards him now, I think they're all fully bought in.
Yep.
But yeah, like I said, he's about 90% there. I said if you had a quiet word with him in a pub and said, what part don't you like or haven't you got to grips with yet? There'll be some little thing that he's like, I just can't do this yet, and that'll be it. So, Mitch.
That presents a really high ceiling for this offense, though, if we're winning games with half a playbook. And I think as well, if you are dumbing it down slightly and making it slightly more user-friendly, than it perhaps was in your first original version of it, then maybe you can afford to chop players like Dodson and lose players through retirement, like we did there as well with our centers. So Williams, sorry, yeah. If you lose a player like an experienced center and you lose a green dot wearing defensive sort of communicator, then perhaps if that was to happen as the first thing, perhaps you then start to look to dial it back a little bit and make it easier to communicate, what's being called. But actually, when you look at it, those things happen first. So it's almost like it almost feels intentional the way everything's gone, but I do know that solid decisions have been made to the situations that have presented themselves. But when you look at it, it's almost like scripted. And I guess that's a huge vouch for Mike McDonald, because if his reactions and decisions are that sound after these things that you have to adapt to, that they look almost like a script, then you know he's suited to that role. There's not many things that have happened when we've looked at it and gone, that was a really odd knee-jerk reaction that did not work, or that was not, on point. So I think he's taken to it like a duck to water, and I think the way he is and how level-headed he is really projects well for him as a head coach in this league, and I'm so pleased we've got him.
Yeah, Agreed. Well, that was the last one of our Discord member musings. We would usually try and get through some of the comments that we've starred, but there are genuinely so many. And I want to say thank you to everyone who tunes in. This community is growing. We're able to have some fantastic guests on, like Drew, who is a member of our Discord. If you want to join the Discord, by the way, the link has been chucked into those comments, whichever side it is. I'm always rubbish at this point in live on camera. Yeah, there you go. That bit. You can join our Discord for free. You can talk to Seahawks fans from all over the world. I'm not going to try and go through all of the countries now, but we are very active there. You can ask us any questions, speak to anyone. We've got Bryce in there as well, who obviously is the coach of the Hawks on Rundown. We have people like Drew, who now he's told me how mad he is on maths and stats. I'm expecting him to be posting a hell of a lot more on there. But Drew, before we sign off, do you want to tell people where they can find you on socials as well?
Yeah, so right now I'm really only we're on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at TrueDrewSports. Yeah, just give me a follow. I just post random stats, or if I find some news or something from the Seahawks that I find interesting, I typically repost it or comment on it or whatever. But yeah, I just try to have my own opinions on things and try to show that light.
Yeah. Dude, and it's genuinely it's awesome as well having you following us on X and being part of the Discord sort of community as well. So thank you to everyone who's been joining that Discord recently. We really appreciate it. If you are tuning in for the first time, or you've been tuning in for a while, or a member of the Discord and you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell on YouTube. That's it. Yeah, Drew. See, Drew knows what to do as
Expert
a guest.
pointer, man.
I know.
Degree in maths was actually a degree in pointing.
You can come back on. So for anyone who has joined who hasn't, please do like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It really helps the algorithm and really helps us grow as a community as well. The more Seahawks fans we reach throughout the world, the bigger this community grows and the more we can do. Such things as hopefully Mitch and I coming over to the States at some point soon, having a UK meetup, lots and lots more. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple. We're on X, Instagram, Blue Sky. We've got a Facebook group. Like, follow, message us. You can slide into our DMs whenever you want. We're more than happy to talk to anyone. But I've thoroughly enjoyed this, Drew. Thank you very much for coming on. Mitch,
thanks for having me on.
A podcasted partner in crime. Thank you as always, and congratulations on your promotion, sir.
Thank you very much.
Well deserved, dude. But I think we should end this on a Go Hawks. I'm not going to count it down. I'm going to let you all guess because the last time I tried to count it down was awful. So I'm just going to say thank you very much, everyone, again, and feel free, go and check out Bryce and Ryan on the Hawks on Rundown. They'll be recording very soon as well. But from all of us to all of you, thank you again, and go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.